Today I fucked up by making a viral video that hit the top post on Reddit for a while and then accidentally removing it off of both Reddit and YouTube because of my stupidity and not reading the rules. I made a video about me having a series of bad luck moments throughout the day. I really still think I'm cursed because the bad luck doesn't stop. Surprisingly, it got a huge reception, and I was pretty pleased. I then got messaged by a lot of companies giving me offers on copyrighting the video so it doesn't get mass reproduced, and that if it does, I'd get compensated instead of them making money off of me and giving me nothing. I was like, sure, that doesn't sound too bad. The problem was that because of my negligence and not knowing what I shouldn't be doing, I didn't realize that I was actually breaking rule number 8 on /videos, where I can't get licensed for the video after it has been posted. So yes. Obviously, my post got removed because of third-party licensing. Proof. But not to worry. I still had my YouTube video. With a decent amount of views, 500k, I still had a shot at fame. I thought I'd also make a follow-up update video for all the people who had asked if my luck had improved. So I made the follow-up video. Titled it the same as my viral video. Noticed an editing error. Wanted to take it off and upload a new one. Deleted it. Realized that I accidentally deleted the original video. Now all traces of my videos are removed and I now have 20 views on each video, but hey, it was a wild journey, and a terrible fuck up, which I'll never forget. I like to think that the video going viral was an addition to the curse more than a blessing, considering how I ruined everything and will always regret this moment for the rest of my life. TL, Doctor, made a viral video. Got greedy and didn't read subreddit rules and got it removed. Also removed it off of YouTube by being stupid. Edit, since a lot of you guys asked, here's the link to the video. Congratulations /u/m0shka. This post has been voted by our community Discord as the fuck up of the week. Since your luck clearly still hasn't changed, you should make a habit of recording every single thing you do. You'll have enough material for a part 2 video in no time. I already have a part 2 on my channel. Smile? You should re-upload it for the people that wanted to see it still. You might have a chance. Probably not as big as a chance, but still, a chance. Did so last night. So you got unlucky with a video of you being unlucky. Exactly? Email to UF professor that kicked you from the class. Subject, class section, if applicable, thank you. Dear Professor Flufla, I would like to sincerely thank you for contributing to the best day of my life. So far, I've been kicked from my gym, kicked by nature, kicked by my scooter, flipped off by my parents, flipped off by my electrical outlet, flipped off by a leather jacket, backstabbed by third-party motherfuckers, kneed in the balls by Reddit and YouTube, and finally kneed in the balls by your recent email kicking me from your class. Please note, the above is not professionally drafted, and at this point, I just don't give a fuck. Further, I have completed all my assignments on a timely manner, and without discussing anything with me prior, you assumed I was lying and kicked me from an already over/filled class. In fact, I was on campus, cutting my trip short, because I recalled you wanted an assignment to be completed and my computer was no longer working. But thank you for assuming the worst and using it as an excuse to weed out a student from your class. I didn't think there was reasonable necessity to contact you informing that I had cut my trip short, assuming you would have seen me in class the following day. Anyhow, I figure getting through a fuckhead like you is impossible, so go on ahead, be a little bitch, and try to get me suspended or expelled because you think I'm going to come after you or some fucking ridiculous, overreacting shit. Yours sincerely, Op. At Op. Question, did you delete your original YouTube video just so you could add the bit about Reddit deleting your post? His radio voice sucks. Too long didn't read. I helped a friend lie to his girlfriend about being a pilot, and it nearly got him and me killed. For a longer too long didn't read, see the end of this comment. My best friend at uni convinced a girl he was dating that he had a weekend job flying cargo planes for FedEx. This was initially because he wanted to get out of some family event she wanted to drag him to, but it snowballed into an every weekend thing. It sounds like a bizarre random choice of weekend job, but there's a reason behind it. My family owned and ran an aircraft repair business on a municipal airport in Ohio. I grew up with airplanes. When I was 16, my dad bought me a C-182 Skylane that had been banged up in a bad landing. We spent 2 years restoring it, and I took it with me to uni and kept it at a small airstrip just out of town. I would use it to fly to / from home on weekends and breaks, and often took friends up for a ride. It was a great way to get girls in bed. Something about being up there with a confident guy trading radio calls with ATC seems to just do it for them. My friend, who had never flown in a small plane before he met me, decided it was definitely his jam. I'd let him take the controls occasionally, but never for more than a few minutes and always at altitude, in case he did something stupid and I had to recover. But as it turned out, that was a mistake of the knowing enough to get yourself in trouble kind. Back to the girlfriend. When she first wanted him to go meet her family, he panicked and said he had to work. Where did he work? She wondered. He didn't actually have a job, so he picked the first thing that came to mind, his fantasy dream job. Pilot. But what kind of job would a university student have as a pilot? She wondered. Well, the lie was already out there, so he doubled down, cargo pilot. And then to make it believable, he stole my story about growing up with parents who owned an aircraft repair shop, soloing at 15, licensed at 16, owned/restored his own aircraft, that he kept by school. The works. Predictably, it snowballed. He ended up liking the girl a lot and not wanting to break up with her. But he had a weekend job that took him out of town. That part wasn't so hard to maintain because I flew back home pretty much every week, and my parents loved him and always welcomed him for the weekend stay. My dad even let him help out with repairs on a couple of aircraft on the theory that it would teach him a little bit about them. Not enough to keep him out of trouble, as it turned out. It's now about maybe 3/4 of the way through the semester, and the girlfriend is either stupid or blinded by love because she's totally believing his absurd story about being a cargo pilot for UPS and owning his own airplane, and whatever. I'm sort of well known as the airplane guy on campus, so she's heard of / knows there's a student who occasionally takes girls up on dates. For some bizarre reason, it all makes sense. But there's a problem. Now she wants to go up in a little aircraft, with her cargo pilot boyfriend. Why can't we go flying during the week? She wonders. Why can't I come with you in your FedEx airplane when you go on your weekend trips? She wonders. At this point, he should have come clean. They've been having sex for several months. She's probably not going to break up with him. I mean, it's a funny story if you think about it. Haha. I'm not really a cargo pilot for FedEx. I don't even know how to fly. Haha. Funny, right? But he doesn't. He doubles down on his double down. He tells her he's going to take her flying that evening. And so I get this frantic call in my dorm room. /u/gastronomib- I promised, girlfriend, that I would take her flying tonight. You gotta help me. I need to borrow your airplane. I was like, no, you are not going to borrow my airplane. You almost always try to roll us inverted every time I let you take the controls. You've never taken off in it, much less landed it. If I let you take it out by yourself, you'll kill everyone on board and anyone with the bad fortune to be in the way when it falls out of the sky. No. But he's desperate. And it's to get laid. So being a bro, I offer a compromise. I will let him pretend to be the pilot, and only take over when I think he's doing it wrong. I'll even sit right seat and let him wear the white shirt with epaulets with 4 stripes on them that I got as a joke reward present when I passed my PSL, private pilot, single engine, land, license check ride so he looks like he's a real captain. The time comes, and the girlfriend shows up. And it only gets worse. She's a little confused because we've never told her that I'm a pilot too. It would have been too weird. A coincidence that big was too big of a plot hole in his elaborate I'm a cargo pilot for FedEx story. How could he possibly have me and become best friends with a guy who just happened to also be a pilot? It just wouldn't have made sense. So we never mentioned it. And worse, I would occasionally pretend to know nothing about flying. I'd ask questions like, what's it like up there with just the clouds to keep you company? And do you need oxygen even when you're on the ground? Stuff like that to make me sound like a real noob and let him show her what a knowledgeable cargo pilot he was. And so we tripled down on his previous double down. You see, he's been giving me flying lessons. That's the ticket. Yeah. Flying lessons. Totally explains why you're taking your friend along on a date. To give him credit, he plays the FedEx cargo pilot really well. I always have new passengers follow me around when I pre-flight. It helps with any anxiety they might have about going up in a small airplane. So he does the same thing with her. We do our walk around, check fuel, control surfaces, oil, prop, gear, etc. He explains exactly why we're checking each thing, same as I did for him the first time he went flying with me. He shows her how to get into and out of the aircraft, how to work the door latches, her seatbelt, etc. Inside he hooks her up to the intercom correctly, even. Hell, by that point even I was convinced he was a cargo pilot for FedEx. But as soon as we fire up the engine, things start to unravel. I try to let him use the radio. It's a small airstrip, no tower, so it's not like we absolutely needed it. But he flubs up almost every self-announcement. His radio voice sucks. He's hesitant, stutters, can't remember the tail number, misidentifies the runway. All the things wrong. And then it's time to take off. By prior agreement, I was to do this without his help. He switches the intercom to pilot isolation, which cuts off the passengers, i.e. girlfriends, headphones, so we can have a private conversation. /u/gastronomid- you gotta let me take off. She's going to think something's going on if I don't. I've watched you dozens of times. I can do this. And well, he's desperate. And it is to get laid. So being a bro, I say okay, I will let him take off, and only take over when I think he's doing it wrong. I line the airplane up at the end of the runway, turn the intercom back to on position, and say your plane. And then I take my hands off the controls. In retrospect, this was a bad idea. Time to fuck up, 3 seconds. Instead of pushing in the throttle, he pulls out the mixture. This tells the carburetor don't give the engine any more gas. The engine quits. Embarrassed silence. I pitch him an easy save. So that means you leaned out the engine, right? You said you would show me how to do that the last time you gave me a lesson. He was all ha ha. Yeah. Leaning out the engine. Totally, good lesson. You learned something there, didn't ya? I restart the engine for him and then sit back in my seat again. This time he hits the gas properly. Time to fuck up. 9 seconds. He's starting to veer off the runway. I make a point of fighting him for the pedals, hoping the girlfriend wouldn't notice. Mission accomplished, probably. At least we're heading straight down the center line and not for the row of aircraft parked on the other side of the taxiway. Time to next fuck up, 15 seconds. We're approaching 70 kts airspeed. Time to rotate. Time to rotate. Why are you fucking not pulling back on the fucking controls? He's not fucking pulling back on the fucking controls, and the aircraft is lifting off a bit on its own. Not terrible, but not great either. I casually nudge the yoke backward. He catches the hint and... Time to next fuck up, 2 seconds. He yanks back too far and we're popping up way too fast. This isn't a fucking Blue Angles air show, damn it. I start to do something about it, but... Time to next fuck up, nanoseconds. He's doing the same thing he always does, pulling down on the yoke with his left hand. I've told him about it 1,000 times. It always makes the airplane try to do an aileron roll. Or would if I didn't take over. So now we're nose up to the sky at a high angle of attack and about to do a wing over. At roughly 30 feet off the ground. This is not a good thing. Sure, it's for a good cause, getting a bro laid, but can you reasonably expect to get laid after someone shovels the raspberry jam that used to be your torso into a body bag? I'm guessing not. About the time when we're in an absurdly low altitude 60 degrees bank, I've had enough. You're rolling my plane? I yell, and reach over to karate chop his arms off of the yoke. I pitch down, level off, and regain control of the aircraft. Nobody says a word as I finish the climb to about 1,000 feet AGL, re-enter the pattern on the downwind leg, and then bring us down to a landing. All without any help from my instructor, the cargo plane pilot. The only thing I remember her saying on the drive back to the dorms was, "You're not really a FedEx pilot, are you?" They broke up a few days later. The story made the rounds on campus, and my friend took no end of shit for it, for which I gladly take credit. I called him FedEx for the next 2 years, to the point where the nickname stuck and other people started using it too. I think my dad was the worst, though. Between being mad at me for risking lives, and an aircraft which was a much more serious offense to an old A&P mechanic, and laughing his ass off at my friend for trying to pull off a months-long masquerade as a FedEx pilot, he dished so much shit at us it almost made me want to not go home for a while. Other than the breakup and the nickname, there wasn't really much other fallout. It even worked to his advantage a few times because girls actually thought the story was funny, and it got him laid at least one time that I know of. Which I guess means that in a way the whole thing was a success. We stayed friends until graduation but lost touch, so I have no idea if he ever got his own pilot's license and bought an airplane as he said he would. But even if he didn't, I like to think of him out there, charming the babes with stories about flying for FedEx on the weekends and offers to take them up flying someday soon. Too long didn't read. I, a pilot and aircraft owner, had a friend who convinced his girlfriend he had a weekend job as a cargo pilot for FedEx to explain why he couldn't join her to meet her family. The relationship lasted longer than he expected, and so he had to maintain the lie. Eventually, she called him on it. But instead of fessing up, he made it worse by convincing me to let him fly my Cessna 182 to take her up, passing me off as one of his flight school students. He did his best to take off, but instead nearly killed the three of us, forcing me to take over. The lie was outed. The girlfriend broke up with him, and I, my father, and practically everyone at school teased my friend mercilessly for years about it. College-aged logic. We have to do some elaborate, dangerous plot for a friend to get laid by his girlfriend after they've already been having sex. Damn, I once tried to get laid by pretending to be an engineering major and attending all her first-year engineering classes so I could talk to her. She eventually started hooking up with the TA, but I ended up liking engineering so much that I now have a master's degree in electrical engineering. Yeah, that's a pretty bad fuck-up. Remember the whole aeronautical decision-making from people training? Yeah, you failed. Article 5, Section 32, Federal Aviators Manual, safety may be disregarded if there are meaningful efforts to get a bro laid. Well, just don't post this in r/flying anytime soon. And done. Today I fucked up by screwing myself out of a career for years. Obligatory, this has happened over the course of the last 2 years, but I just realized that today I fucked up 10 minutes ago. Some background: I work in software technology. I've been in this field for 10 years and over the last several years have been trying to change my career path within this industry. My current position is kind of low paid / undervalued by nature, even after so long doing it. I've picked up higher level process driven skills and have really shined in my current company in an attempt to move into something better. Forward to the last couple of years, I'm generally mishandled in my position and wind up shouldering a lot of the work that various other people drop because we trust you and know you will do a great job, buddy. That hasn't been translating into promotions or pay. I've been passed over for good opportunities several times at this company. I've been eager to move on from here and begin my new path properly. Problem is, I haven't gotten any responses back to any of the resumes I've been sending out. For 2 years. I get the occasional recruiter which will always fizzle out after the initial wow. You seem perfect for this job. Now, I try to be modest, but I know that my resume absolutely rocks. Nothing is misspelled and I am well represented in it. I had a CSS designer work up the formatting for my resume a few years ago and it looks gorgeous. My skills are all up to date and I even have recent tertiary education. Tonight I finally decide to scour some sites and forums for tips. The first one I go to is talking about bullet points. Yay, yay. The next one is giving advice about strong verbs. Yep, implemented / developed / improved / advised. Already ahead of you. The third site I hit is talking about automated resume screening, removing formats and tables, wiping headers, leaving only text intact, assigning scores to resumes based on parsed data. Then it dawns on me. My resume was formatted by a CSS designer in 2012. Technology has evolved, in a field that I specialize in, and I completely fucking forgot. All of my contact info is contained in headers. All of my experience and skills are contained in formatted tables. Fucking tables. My resume is getting destroyed by automation before anyone even has a chance to look at it. No wonder I haven't gotten any calls. For some reason, I was still under the impression that my online submitted resume is getting printed out and put into someone's hands for review, or at least looked at by a human on a computer screen. Real progressive thinking here, huh? I should at least be proud that I wasn't dense enough to send them off via the post office. The problem here is that this whole ordeal has given me some pretty severe confidence issues. I've been pushing myself harder to try to be better because of this, which has been leaving me depressed and exhausted constantly. Late night panic attacks over what I'll do if I lose this job. Wanting to quit but feeling trapped because of no callbacks. So I've rewritten my resume into plain text in a basic Word doc, and it honestly looks pretty nice. The formatting removal has saved me some space and I was able to get some new and important pieces in there while maintaining one page. I feel like a moron and probably don't deserve to work in software anymore, though. Big update. Holy shit, this blew up more than I could have imagined. First, thank you guys for the gildings and getting this on the front page. First ever. Go figure it's on a throwaway. I've seen so many people on here that have gone back and revamped their resume because of my experience, and for that I'm thrilled to have made a positive impact on some of you. Secondly, there is a lot of disagreement around what the best resume file type is. All I know is that every company I apply to asks explicitly for a Word doc. My resume was originally in HTML back when it made some sense, but now it is not, but it kept the nuances of what the CSS genie did. I did not build the resume myself. I constantly fought with the formatting to make minor updates. Design is not my area of focus, obviously. The thing about getting contacted by recruiters and then it fizzling. As many know, when a recruiter finds your resume on a job board, it tends to be a very old/stale resume, especially if you've been employed for a while. The convos always end with "send me an updated resume," and that's where the convos drop off. Yes, I am assuming that my resume is being processed by automation, but who knows? It seems too coincidental. Next, I love the equal divide between "don't be so hard on yourself" and "you are a dumbass." It's why I love Reddit. I will eventually be able to read all of the responses, but will likely only be responding to people who want to talk to me about job opportunities. That is my ultimate goal after all. And finally, with my new resume in plain text, I have already gotten scheduled for an interview. A recruiter contacted me via email this morning and the phone interview is already on the books for next week. And it's relevant to my new career path. Thanks again, everyone. Number 21 day update, 5 halves. Today, I received a job offer that will change my life. To everyone who asked, if you ever come back here and see this again, I found the template to my new and proven successful resume here. Unfortunately, I can't send my actual resume to many of the people who messaged me on the side asking due to privacy reasons, hence the throwaway, but I can give you some of the following tips. Use a mix of short descriptions and bullet points in your work experience. 1 to 2 sentences and bullets for achievements. Don't worry about passing one page if you are doing online applications. Some of the best advice I got from people. Make sure you are visible to recruiters on LinkedIn. This may have been a factor in the lack of regular cold calls. Be patient. Took about 2 weeks before the flood of emails began. Too long didn't read. Bad resume formatting has been getting me screened out of software development jobs for 2 years and I just realized it. This is very useful information for many people. Sorry that you had to go through it, but thanks for sharing. I'll treat this as a learning opportunity. Otherwise, I'd lose my mind. I ran into a similar issue. I would apply for jobs I was extremely qualified for and never heard anything. Come to find out I never switched my Google account over with the real name Google Plus push a few years ago. My display name of Slaytalica was attached to every resume I sent out before I noticed. Ha ha ha, I would so interview someone who sent a resume and their name said Slaytalica. Unfortunately for you, I'm not a hiring manager. Yup. I have about today a fucked up grid resume for handing to a person and an ugly plain text for the computers. I also made this mistake, but once I realized I started getting significantly more hits. Good luck. PDF for the win, you always know what they're getting. I wrote mine in Wingdings. Upvote for reminding me of Wingdings.